Posture is an extremely common problem that many people are dealing with. It causes pain, dysfunction. Daily life is just harder when you have poor posture. When you're hunched in this position and it just feels terrible. So the two most common problems with posture or diagnoses is upper cross syndrome and lower cross syndrome. For the upper, it's this hunched over posture where the upper back pushes out. What's going on here is that the pecs are very tight, front of the chest, and you also got the traps and the upper back, which are also really tight. So tightness doesn't always mean that it's in a short position, but it just means that it can't move. So it can be kind of frozen in an elongated position, which is where you see for the upper back here. And then on the opposite, so because it's like the cross, put a little picture up so you can see the better image on that. You got the lower traps who are not contracting. I'm gonna give them a personality, I guess. And then you got the neck flexors, which are not contracting. So the term for that is weak, we could say. The neck flexors, because we look down so much at a computer, having a lot of problems opening up, which we'll cover in the movements. Lower traps often just don't get activated because we don't pull our shoulders back this way and then hold our core in position. It's always this way, so they are also a little bit tight or stretched tight. So that's the upper cross syndrome. When we look at lower cross syndrome, it's this position here where you're kind of, well, eventually it gets to where you're hunched over. A lot of people will try to compensate by kind of walking like a duck. That's over exaggerating, you could say, but it is this here. So this tilt, anterior pelvic tilt. So what we have going on there is the erector spinae is tight and the psoas is tight. A lot of the times here, they're just not contracted as well and they don't move well with the hips. So you get a lot of problems with hip movements. Now, in contrast to that, you can see in the image as well, you got the glutes that are weak and the core that is weak. So if you think about it, when you're here, if you flex your glutes and flex your core, you'll straighten out this posture. So that's a lot of the time they're just not contracted, but then we have the other muscles that are pulling in the opposite direction. So what we're gonna do is go over two movements today that can help you solve these problems. Yes, there are a lot more, but these two I found to help the posture the most, and I have a bunch of different examples of them so you can start wherever you are, and then we can build out. So let's start with the upper body, which the advanced version is the bridge. We're here, and we're holding this position. You're gonna look at me or look at this and go, no chance that I do this. So let me bring you a little bit of easier movements. We got the cross bench pullover, which helps open up. What it's doing is opening up the chest. It's training your neck flexors to hold your neck up, and then you're contracting. While you're doing this, you're contracting the lower traps to pull you even deeper into this position, and then opening it back up. So down and back up. Now if you go, there's no chance I get on the bench, there's no chance I get that. You can do this on a pole or a wall as well. Put your hands together and then push your chest through and then pull down with your hands to lift yourself back up. So there, and going back up. Those are the three main positions for this movement. The other one that I really like, which starts to get into the glutes, is the T-bridge pose. So right here, this is a tabletop. The T-bridge, we're actually gonna push through the glutes this way, and we can make a T. We can hold this position. It starts opening up the shoulders. Now you can get to the other one, which can be a little bit difficult with the room, but I'll just go back to there and then pushing back through. My left glute doesn't contract as well as my right. Now, it's not uncontracted. It's just something to know about, that our bodies are asymmetric. So if you've never done some of these things, you won't realize, oh, I have an asymmetry here. This is something that I should work on to be a little bit more structurally balanced. So that's the first movement, which is the bridge, which is the base of it. Pull over, the wall pullover, and then the T-bridge. All of those are the same look of movement. And what you're aiming to do while you do that, flex the back, lower traps, get the shoulders all the way over. You're stretching open this, and then you are keeping the neck flexed, so the weak parts, you're training them, and then you actually sometimes can get a stretch in the traps because your arms are so far over your head, especially if they're really tight. You'll start opening that back up. The trap threes are also beneficial. They just didn't make it into the top 2 movements. So the next one is going to help fight against that lower cross syndrome, and it's the camel sit. So when we're here, this is probably the best way to just start and just sit. And what you're doing is you're flexing your core into your knee, trying to get this position. You can even hug your knee a little bit. And then this back ankle is also stretching, which is a great benefit there. Then we're sinking in to this back glute. So if you look here, this back glute is getting worked. So the abs and the glutes are getting worked here. And we're resetting, just kind of resting here, getting nice and comfy basically. The psoas is getting not too much of a stretch with the hips, but you are getting movement in it. And as this advances, we can get a little bit of different movements in here as well that stretch it basically. You might be looking like, I can't get that low. What I've had people do, especially clients who are a little bit older, is they'll go with a bench on both sides. Say this is a bench, this is a bench, or even 2 bars, something that's very stable. They just help get themselves into the bottom, and then they hold this position, and then getting back out of it, they use their hands to get all the way up. Now, if my knees aren't gonna bend like that, my body's not gonna move that way, then we might need to do other work to rebuild the joint specifically before we get here. But I encourage you to try it as safe as possible. If it's a no, then it's a no, and watch some of my other videos to rebuild maybe the ankles, the knees, or the hips specifically before we look at this posture movement. Get into advanced motions on this. We have this, which is the base, flexing the core deep in the belly, and then sitting deep into this glute and on that other ankle. We can start to raise up this leg. The ground's a little hard, but it gives me a better massage, I guess. So if we're here, we can work to hold this leg up. Now I'm really flexing the hip and the core to keep that position, and then I can start to straighten out and come back. So this is training the hip flexors, and you could say the psoas a little bit while we're going through it, opening up the different ranges. Now you can sit back and then do it again. Another one I really like to start opening up the glutes and the erector spinae, as we know that one is tight, is you pull the leg up, over, and then sit here and lean down. And you can do little push-ups like this. If I can move around. You can do little push-ups like this, even pulling this leg more and more into that position. The glute on this right side, moving back, the glute on this right side gets a ton of stretch, and this ankle gets a lot of work. Something I like to do is try to balance here and see what I can do with the core. It's also just kind of fun. So that's different advanced motions with it's called a camel squat. Shout out Kajor Ziani. You can also do it with weight. I didn't add that one in, but if you have weight in your hands, it's a wonderful squat exercise. It's just probably more advanced than even the different sits. And as I'm talking about different postures, I like to keep it as simple as possible. So hopefully that made a ton of sense. And you can start doing these 2 right now, building out your posture for your upper body, building out your posture for your lower body. Again, add other exercises in, but start with these 2. See the difference, and then you'll be fully committed to changing how you move because it feels so much better.